What's up, everybody? Once again, John Rowland here with Entertaining Thoughts, my video series. This is episode 3. This is me just entertaining some thoughts. We got Maddie V on the beats. Maddie V stays sending me beats. I got to do something with them. It's on my to-do list for show. For show. So, entertaining thoughts. The concept is based off of the quote, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it." This is attributed to Aristotle by Lowell L. Bennion. But the actual quote is something a little deeper than that. The actual quote from Aristotle, Nicomachean Ethics, says this: "It is right that we ask people to accept each of the things which are said in the same way, for it is the mark of an educated person to search for the same kind of clarity in each topic to the extent that the nature of the matter accepts it. For it is similar to expect a mathematician to speak persuasively or for an orator to furnish clear proofs. Each person judges well what they know and is thus a good critic of those things. For each thing in specific, someone must be educated to be a critic. To be a critic in general, one must be educated about everything." So, it is the mark of an educated person to search for the same kind of clarity in each topic to the extent that the nature of the matter accepts it. I believe this is talking about the trivium. It means you are applying the same truth discovery method to each topic that you are presented with and taking it to the extent that the nature of the matter accepts it. So you take it as far as you can go to understand it. And to be a true critic, you must be educated about everything. But obviously, we can all be very educated in one area. And one thing that I've realized through researching and being, participating in the truth movement is that no one has it 100% correct, is what I've found. There's no one that I agree with 100%, right? And so that just shows you that it's on each of us to interpret the grammar portion as well as we can, and then to put it out. And then once we put out that rhetoric, then it becomes new grammar, right? So it's this constant process of the trivium amongst people where we're sharing ideas. And this all starts with being able to entertain a thought. So you have to kind of go into a new thought or a new field of study. You might need to, empty yourself a little bit, come with a sense of wonder of discovering something new, maybe not bringing in any preconceived notions to the topic. So I kind of want to just tell a personal anecdotal story of my experience with the plane Earth. I like to call it the plane Earth because I think the term flat Earth is problematic, and I think that is part of the psyop. But when I was really getting into what on earth is happening and the knowledge of natural law, around that same time, I remember hearing about the flat Earth theory. And at that time, my attitude was, well, how would I know? Right? Because, that's the other part of entertaining thoughts is you always know that you don't necessarily know. To know something is very difficult to truly know something, to actually experience something yourself. So a lot of what we know is based on other people's opinions or research or artifacts, things like that. So when I had heard about it, I just thought, well, how would I know? How would I really know what the shape of the earth is, what the form of the earth is, what the function of the earth is? How would I really know? I've been in the same area basically my whole life growing up, so how would I know? That was just kind of my take on it. And, at that time, I was listening to a lot of mainstream science. I would get audiobooks, Stephen Hawking, and was interested in Einstein, and got this book about how Einstein and Niels Bohr had this, decades long battle of creating thought experiments, and then mulling over them and then coming back with a response. And so I get through, most of the natural law stuff, what on earth is happening stuff. This is probably around 2018. And I had started talking to some friends about, what on earth is happening's work, and, the idea that, the dark occult is, is occulting, important information, specifically natural law, and that, this is how they control us, and that politics is just, they're all controlled. This is all part of the mind control system, right? And my one buddy who, he actually had introduced me to a lot of, rabbit holes to go down. And he was like, whoa, I'm reading about Napoleon, and Napoleon, he fought against the Catholics. And I was like, well, okay, but that doesn't mean that there isn't this underlying group that's still running everything. There may be little battles in between, whatever. So we had a disagreement on this. And I just got to the point where I said, well, let's just agree to disagree. And this guy was just really, really angry, and just didn't want to stop arguing with me. And I'm like, I just want to agree to disagree. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I just don't think that there's any answer through politics. One thing he kept saying to me was, that's conjecture. That's conjecture. And I'm thinking, well, how do we know the book that you're reading by someone who wrote about Napoleon isn't conjecture, right? Ultimately, everything is conjecture, right? We don't know what history is true. They can put in alternate history. And so, yeah, ultimately, hey, buddy, go in the other room, buddy. Go with Michael. But sorry, my kid came in here with this video game. Hold on real quick. My bad. Probably should have locked that door. So anyway, so my friend, gets real mad at me, and he says, yeah, we'll have fun telling everybody that they're Satanists. And I was like, all right, dude. And then he was like, I'm not a flat earther either, John. And I'm like, neither is Mark Passio, right? Who obviously is the source of all of this work that I'm telling them about. And I just was like, man, it's crazy how people, because I knew that they had another friend who I guess was, spouting flat earth stuff. And I was like, man, people get so upset about that. I mean, it really felt like when people just call you a conspiracy theorist, right? It's like the new, you're a conspiracy theorist. The other thing I remember about that at that time, being involved in the health freedom movement, was they say, oh, what, you're an anti-vaxxer? What are you, a flat earther too? Right? And so I always thought that's really weird that they would equate this thing that happens, to your, you see someone get injured, whatever, you actually observe it, compared to the earth, the shape of the form of the earth. That would be the biggest conspiracy, if it is one, right? And so I thought that's kind of weird. They equate those two. It's really a way. It is a tool. It is a psyop in that way. It is a way to, just like conspiracy theorists, the term is a psyop. It's just a way to not have a debate, right? To not have a discussion about something, to end the discussion without having it, right? And So I started looking into the actual flat earth theory. And so a few things, that I want to say is, um, from my perspective, what you need to understand is you have to look at it as a separate model. So you have to get out of your globe earth model, and that's more difficult to do than I think we give credit for. And we don't realize how much like that is ingrained in our head, that that's what it is. You have to get out of that. That's what entertaining thoughts is all about, right? Like, let go of what you know, what you think you know, and look at a different perspective and a different model. Okay. So we all know what the globe earth model is. The flat earth model is still round. Okay. So that's an issue language wise. When they say you don't think the earth is round, it's still round in this model. And this is just one model. Okay. This is a basic model, still round. But there's one point in the middle is the North Pole. Directly above it is the polar star Polaris, right? Doesn't move, right? And uh, everything rotates around. All the constellations rotate around, right? That's what we see. And on the outskirts of this round Earth, which is level, plane, is an ice wall. Okay. Now, is there anything beyond the ice wall? They don't know. So now from that model, look at, this is the next step. We'll look at what you observe. Okay. Because one thing that struck me about when I started looking at it was I had a memory of being in junior college and not being able to understand, like truly understand, why in my astronomy class, why the moon did what it did every night. It didn't make sense to me. The half the moon looking like it was cut in half. It's like, if this is the shadow of the earth or has something to do with positioning, why would it not, why would I not see the movement of the earth? Or why would I not, it didn't make sense to me. And I remember that what I did was I just put the answers that they were telling me were the correct answers, right? I didn't truly grasp it. Okay. Now, from the flat earth model, it doesn't explain the moon necessarily. At least I haven't seen anything like explain the moon really, really well, what all the phases of the moon are. But it made me start like looking at what I observe every day. And I'm telling you, this is something I don't think I actually did that much prior to this time. In terms of, I knew the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, right? But I didn't really think about what the moon does. Well, the moon also rises in the east and sets in the west. Ultimately, it moves up and down the same way that the sun does, north to south. But this, from looking at it from this perspective, from this new model, it opened up this whole different perspective of like what's going on, right? In this new model, the sun isn't far away, the moon isn't very far away. They actually are similar sized, right? It's not like this amazing coincidence that the sun is 93 million miles away and the moon is 237,000 miles away, however far the moon is, but yet they happen to look the same size in the sky, right? What an amazing, feat, whatever. And anyway, I'll say I was listening to at that time mostly Eric Dubay, and I still would send people to his work. There's other people, David Weiss, I think does pretty quality work on this topic that I think you guys should take an honest look into, like I think you should about everything. This really opens up, again, the issues with NASA. One thing that I hear, well, let me say this. It surprised me once I got a grasp of what it is, what the theory is, the flat earth theory. It surprised me that people in the freedom movement didn't see it, right? To me, this fits perfectly with the idea of the dark occult ruling class hiding, occulting knowledge from us, and the agenda against natural law, right? They are inverting nature. They are opposing nature, opposing God. So why wouldn't they tell us a completely false story about the form and the function of where we live? Because how can we truly do that shadow work within ourselves without really understanding what nature is and what's going on? As above, so below, right? So we should be paying attention to the constellations, what they're doing. Really, again, this is about the trivium and the quadrivium, right? Yes, natural law is the foundation by which you navigate your logic, right? In order to have quality rhetoric, right? But the point of natural law is to explore the world and explore reality using these principles and these foundations: natural law, the trivium, the quadrivium, the hermetic principles. You're now applying these to your experience, and we're sharing this information, right? So people I see in the freedom community and anarchy community who are so upset about this theory, right? I don't understand why. First of all, I would like to see somebody truly debunk the theory, which I have not seen, and um, also to take into account that, if you do a give me some data on something, I might look at it and someone else might look at it and we might interpret it differently, right? So again, that interpretation then becomes the grammar again. And that's the process that we are involved in. I'm starting to get this realization that natural law is an ongoing process. We are the facilitators of it. It is inherent in nature, but we are the ones who bring it forth on this material plane, right? So I would say that everyone should take this from a very, sober perspective. Just, don't get emotional about it. The emotional reaction of people is what made me look into it. Why would people get so emotionally reactive about this one supposed psyop? And when you just call it a psyop without any grammar to back that up, that's the same thing as calling somebody a conspiracy theorist or an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. It's, and the truth and freedom community should not be participating in that, right? We should all be able to have our own beliefs in terms of what we do in day-to-day life, as long as we don't harm one another. There really is no way at this point for us to all know exactly what is true and false outside of those principles of natural law, which again, I think we can all agree upon, right? So anyway, this is my thoughts on this theory. Another thing I wanted to say about this is one thing I've seen people say as an argument. They'll say, oh yeah, NASA lies, so the earth is flat, right? Well, this is my issue with that, is like, okay, if it's not because of that, then why? Why is it? And I don't see people explaining that. I don't see people who are arguing against this theory. I haven't heard any explanation for all of NASA's lies, why the fake moon landings, all the problems with Musk, sending a car into space supposedly, when really you shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to send, blown up tires into space. And why would we be paying somebody to just put junk in space? If you really start getting into this theory and then through that into the NASA information and how much they lie and how much they've been caught lying and how much this is countries across the world working together, right? The Antarctic Treaty after World War II. No one can go to Antarctica except for military or scientific, reasons. Sanctioned by government. So I'm not here right now to get into all the different points, but I will say I would enjoy to see grammar brought forward about proving that we're on a spinning ball, and then let that discussion take place. I think that, again, understanding, I truly believe, in a way, again, the plain earth is natural law, right? Your job is to get out there and understand nature and connect with nature and discover nature, rediscover nature. It's the most occulted physical knowledge, while natural law is the most occulted spiritual knowledge. And we, as humans, are here to connect those two worlds. All right, I think I've kept you all long enough. I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts on this. It's important for me to speak the truth and how I feel, and not, be influenced by people, saying that, like, I can't talk about something, or I shouldn't talk about something, or, because been through that before, with the health freedom movement, and being called a conspiracy theorist. It's like, we got to look at everything. We got to talk about everything. Of course, start with those principles of natural law. Do no harm. Take no snits. And keep it moving, have ethics. Use the trivium to solve everything, right? Again, the natural law, your conscience, is what is gonna lead your logic in terms of what type of rhetoric you put out, what type of understanding you gain from it. So that is the core principle. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys watching and listening. And let's ride out to some Matty V. Matty V on the beats down the streets. He got the treats like it's a trick, but no, he ain't tricking. No, never slipping. It's Matty V. Matty V. He be on his beats every day, but he don't beat his kids. He don't have no kids. What? Off the lid, off the top. I be doing it. Now stop. John Rowland, not a cop. Hell no. Ain't no order follower. Nah, man, I don't know steal rhymes. I borrow them. Because ain't nothing new under the sun. We just begun. We here and we becoming something new. We metamorphosizing into truth. We doing it together. It's the youth to the seniors. We doing it and all in between you. We do it like this with Mina. No, we nicer. I say it once, I say it twice. We nicer. Cold as ice. All right, y'all. NaturalFreedomLeague.com. NaturalFreedomLeague.com. Matty V got some beats.